Though most Americans think of New York City and Broadway as the genesis place of the American theater, it was New Orleans that led the way through much of the 19th century. National and world-class stars made New Orleans their primary stop, equal to the theaters in New York, Philadelphia, and Boston. New Orleans was the theatrical capital of the South and dominated theatrical activity in the Western territories well into the 20th century. Amateur theatrical presentations were given in New Orleans as early as 1753 during the French colonial period. These performances were usually at private homes, parties, or the elaborate bal masques held by the leading citizens of the city. These were not publicly attended performances. The first recorded public theatrical performances in New Orleans happened in 1791, when a troupe of French comedians arrived in the city, escaping the revolution in Haiti. Performing in any space available for the next year, the troupe earned enough to purchase a house on Rue St. Peter between Bourbon and Royal Streets. On October the 4th, 1792, they opened the first legitimate theater in New Orleans called the El Coliseo. Unfortunately, the folks at the El Coliseo were a rowdy group and the police shut them down. They engaged Louis Tabary to redesign the space and quietly reopened as La Salle des Spectacles, to the Spaniards at least. The French Creoles called it Théâtre de la Rue Saint-Pierre. In a letter written 2 days after the opening of the theater, Baron Joseph Delfau de Pontalba wrote, "The theater is small, but quite pretty." He didn't think much of the performers, but he commented on the 12 loges or private boxes in the house and reported that they rented for between 200 and 300 Spanish piastres for the season. In today's money, that's between $2,000 and $3,000. Prominent performers from the destroyed theaters in Haiti played at the St. Pierre for the next several years. On May 22, 1796, the St. Pierre made history when it presented the French opera Sylvain by André Grétry. It was the first opera performed in New Orleans and in the United States. For over a decade, the St. Pierre was the only theater in town. But a series of financial arguments, the deteriorating condition of the building, and the introduction of gambling caused several closures and reopenings during its existence. The theater ceased operations in 1810, becoming a rental house for traveling troupes, speakers, and meetings. The building was lost to a fire in 1816. Today, the site is the home of a 2-story townhouse built in the 1820s, right next door to Preservation Hall. In 1808, the Théâtre Saint-Philippe, or St. Philip Theater, opened on the other side of town. The neat brick building between Bourbon and Royal Street on St. Philip was the first to have parquet or parterre seating, floor-level seating at the rear beneath a balcony. It also featured 2 rows of private boxes and a total capacity of 700 auditors, as individual audience members were called then. The cost of construction was $100,000, about $2.5 million today. The cream of Creole society flocked to the new stylish Théâtre Saint-Philippe, contributing to the decline and failure of the Saint-Pierre. The first English-language stage presentation in New Orleans was in 1806, 3 years after the Louisiana Purchase. An itinerant actor from New York called Mr. Ranney, having made a success of what we would now call a club act, presented a theatrical entertainment in 3 acts called The Doctor's Courtship and 2 acts of the pantomime from Don Juan. He presented these in the large room of Moore's Tavern on Rue Chartres on April 29, 1806. Ranney, with the assistance of a woman believed to be his wife, performed in several large rooms and taverns until the middle of May, when he disappears into history. Scholars are quick to point out that while Ranney gave the first performances in English in New Orleans, historians do not consider these to be legitimate theatrical productions. That honor went to theater manager William Duff in 1811. His company presented the first English works on a legitimate stage during the spring and summer at the Théâtre Saint-Philippe, performing once or twice a week when the French company was off for the night. The company performed for 12 weeks, then disbanded in the fall. The War of 1812 suspended all professional theater in the city until 1816. But amateur dramatics were allowed if done for charitable purposes, like a fundraiser. Throughout the war, 2 amateur organizations, the Society of Artists and the Thespian Benevolent Society, led by itinerant actor A. Cargill and funded by wealthy society leaders, presented at least 15 productions of English-language plays as fundraisers throughout the war. Some theater historians have discounted their significance in New Orleans theater history, based mostly on the fact that they were amateurs. But without their efforts, there would have been no theater, English or otherwise, in New Orleans for 5 years. Their productions also set up the benefit performance system that would be a fixture of theatrical presentations throughout the 19th century. In the spring of 1818, Noah Ludlow arrived with his American Commonwealth Company at the St. Philip Theater, playing Tuesdays and Fridays for the next 16 weeks. Seemingly a success, the company disbanded afterwards, and Ludlow left New Orleans until 1821. This particular run would become a sticking point for a lifelong argument between Ludlow, William Duff, and another famous theater manager years later. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, follow, and share on all your social media at NOLA Voice Theatre. Next time, we look at a new theater that established New Orleans as a global destination, and an actor-manager from Virginia who would establish English-language theater across Canal Street. For NOLA Voice Theatre, I'm Vatican Loki.